11:13 in the evening, and the severe weather threat in Ohio has begun. And I want to say right now at 11:14, which it is now, the severe weather threat in Ohio is very limited to a small area at this time, but that could change very quickly. And I want to stay live with you as we track these storms moving out throughout western Ohio. So, just to let you know where the threat is right now, we do have a tornado warning for a very small portion of Van Wert County. So, that is going to be the small portion of Van Wert County that encompasses State Route 81 and US Route 33. That is the far southwestern corner of Van Wert County. So that includes the community of Wilshire, Ohio. And other than that, it is in mostly rural areas. But that does include State Route 81. And I misspoke. That is US Route 33. The very small sliver of US 33 that runs through Van Wert County is under the tornado warning. And here is why. The tornado is not in Van Wert County right now, but the storm responsible for it is back here in Indiana still. But it's moving very, very quickly. It's right along US 27 there in Indiana. And let's get some updates on that tornado warning to see the progress of that storm. From the National Weather Service, the storm is moving very, very fast. It's moving at 65 miles per hour. So imagine the storm itself moving at highway speed east. So that's why this portion of Van Wert County is under the tornado warning. The National Weather Service in Wilmington has not opted to issue a tornado warning for Mercer County. Although if you're in Mercer County, you are now under a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to be for a line of the same line of thunderstorms. In fact, they have tagged it what we call tornado possible, a severe thunderstorm warning that's tornado possible, meaning that exactly is it. There could be a tornado embedded in that line, but the primary threat is straight line wind, which could be greater than 60 miles per hour. So again, that's going to be for all of Mercer County, the western fringe of Auglaize County, so that's west of Wapakoneta. That's going to include Shelby County, so Russia, just outside of Minster. Minster, of course, being in Auglaize County, but it's very close. Miami County, you're not in the warning yet, but Darke County, you are. So Darke County, you're in the warning. And this severe thunderstorm warning is going to last until 12:15 in the morning. So it's going to run almost an hour from now. So we're going to stick with it, especially because it does have a tag for tornado possible. So again, we are really watching the severe weather threat this evening all across western Ohio. A severe thunderstorm watch. That's the lighter red shading on my radar here, including Kenton all the way down to Hamilton. So that's all of these counties shaded in lighter red. That's going to run until 3 o'clock this morning. It does not include the city of Columbus, but it does include Union and Madison County, including Clark-Champaign, Montgomery County, Preble County, Greene County, Warren, and Butler County. But under the severe thunderstorm warning now, that's the orange on the map. That's going to be Mercer, western Auglaize, western Shelby, and most of Darke County until 12:15 this morning. So stick with us. We're going to cover this into the overnight hours here now that we are in the last hour of June 11th and heading into June 12th here at midnight. Some good news for Van Wert County. The tornado warning has now been allowed to expire. So only a small portion of Indiana is actually in this tornado warning now. So that's right here along US 27. That's Indiana State Route 116. And the tornado warning ends at the state line, which includes Ohio State Route 49. That straddles the state line there. So we're going to be watching this line of severe thunderstorms as it really has progressed through Indiana over the last few hours. And it's now threatening western Ohio. Now, if you're in these 8 counties in northwest Ohio, you are under a tornado watch. So I know this situation is a little confusing. We have a lot of different National Weather Service alerts that are out right now. I'm going to try to go over it right now just so that we kind of have a little bit of an understanding here as to what's going on. And I'm going to try to look at some comments that we've had since starting this stream here in the last 5 minutes. Adams County, you are not in the threat for severe weather, so good news for Adams County. Only if you're in the red here or the yellow here are you under any threat for severe weather right now. But again, this is a Western Ohio threat. If you're not in any coloring, so anywhere east of I-71, I do not anticipate severe weather being a problem for you tonight. All right, so since I started analyzing that, we now do have a new tornado warning. This new tornado warning is now for northern Mercer County. So that is going to run until 11:45 tonight. Let's get you more information on that one. All right. New tornado warning for Mercer County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Geneva, Indiana. So that is right here, Geneva, Indiana, right along US 27. And it's moving eastbound at 60 miles per hour. So if you're in Rockford, Mendon, Chattanooga, Ohio, Neptune, Ohio, you Mendon, I should say, if I did mention Mendon. This includes a very small portion of the north side of Salina. Because of the severe thunderstorm warning already in effect for Salina, if you are in Salina, I would be in your safe spot. It does not hurt to be extra cautious in this situation. So if you are in Salina, I would be in your safe spot. All right, let's try to get the latest radar scan here and see what's going on. So again, tornado warning for northern Mercer County, Ohio until 11:45. This line of storms is on the state line right now, and it's entering Mercer County. So what you're seeing here, this is what we call reflectivity. So that's the radar telling us how much rain is falling and how fast and how much, essentially. It's a lot. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch it over to the velocity mode, and that velocity mode can tell us whether or not we have rotation on radar or if we have some other issues going on. So let's try to get that going for you here. Reflectivity, let's try that. Okay, so we did reflectivity. Let's see, why is this not working? Let's try to get velocity data. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, so now we have our velocity data on here. So yes, we can definitely see an area of rotation right here. So this is State Route 116 in Indiana and State Route 67 in Indiana. So that's about to cross over State Route 49 in Ohio. This is right along the state line, and it is moving this way at 65 miles per hour. So what I think is important to say is it looks like in Indiana right now, it's probably already over State Route 49 in Ohio. It's moving that fast. The radar scans, we only really get these updates every minute or so, and because of that, the storm is moving faster than the radar can scan. So we're really starting to see this move into Ohio now. So an area of rotation over northern Mercer County as we speak. All right, and we're also getting a report, Wabash, Indiana. Garage was ripped away from a residence. Okay, so this is the same line of storms responsible for that. So we really have to take some precautions with this. This storm has a history of producing tornadic damage and straight line wind damage. That's what's going on here. If you're in northern Mercer County, you really, really need to be underground, or if you're out of time, essentially, because it's moving so fast. It's 65 miles per hour. If you're in a mobile home, you need to be out of that mobile home. You need to be heading to a safe and sturdy structure immediately. Basements are the best, as we all know. But if you don't have a basement, interior room or closet with no windows, that's where you need to be right now if you're in northern Mercer County. Again, that includes Rockford and Mendon, the north side of Salina. And just a reminder that the rest of the region is still under a severe thunderstorm warning. So even if you're not in northern Mercer, but if you're in southern Mercer or Darke or Shelby or Auglaize County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning. You could have straight line wind damage coming. It's something to really, really, really look out for. So again, that area of rotation is in Ohio now. We have our green here and our red here indicating that we do have some solid rotation. What I'm also going to try to look for here is debris lofting. I don't see a really incredible debris signature here, but one of the reasons why that may be the case is because the radar coverage in this part of Ohio is not great. This part of Ohio is about 60 to 70 miles away, maybe even farther, from the northern Indiana radar out here in North Webster, Indiana. And it's also about 90 miles away from the other radar in Wilmington, which is down here. So, really, it's a struggle. In my years of covering severe weather in northwest or north central western Ohio, so the northern Miami Valley near Lima, this is a tough area because of the radar coverage. But there's evidence of rotation. There's evidence of strong straight line wind in the area. So we're certainly going to be covering it. And any threat now is in Ohio. So we've now seen it move into Ohio. If you're farther north in Van Wert County, the threat for damaging wind has now entered Ohio. So we're seeing some damaging wind threat in Van Wert County. So the western fringes of Van Wert County. State Route 49 is still your best route marker to show you where that is. And this stretches up into Paulding County as well. So along State Route 49 in Paulding County. So State Route 49, we have your threat there. But my tornado concern right now is here in northern Mercer County, State Route 49. Let's see if we can zoom in a little more. Not a lot of other major roads to tell you about in this area because this is a rural area. But we do have homes in the area. We do have people that live there. It's very important to cover it no matter where this is, whether it's populated or not. We've got people living pretty much all over Ohio. And we do have some evidence of rotation on radar right here along State Route 49. In fact, it's starting to move east of State Route 49. It's probably heading towards State Route 118. If it's moving east at 60 miles per hour, it's outpacing the radar scans. So I would say if you're State Route 707, State Route 118 in Mercer County, State Route, or I should say US 33, US 127, those routes, anywhere in northern Mercer County, if you're home or you know anyone in that area, hopefully they are sheltering from that as we speak. All right, let's see if we've got any comments here. I'm trying to keep up with them, looking at as well as look up some data from the National Weather Service and our other partners here at Ohio News and Weather. We've got other folks here helping us out. All right, so we had some questions about, Salina, I would be in your safe spot. It's just north of you. It's really close. Archbold, I believe you're okay for now, but you are in a severe thunderstorm warning, so you should be away from windows. Brookville and Montgomery, no threat yet. Again, the threat is primarily, we're focusing on Mercer County at the moment. But if you're in Auglaize, Shelby, and Darke County as well, you really should be watching carefully for straight line wind damage. Let's do a whole big picture here of what's going on. I'm going to zoom out to the state level, and I'm going to throw the reflectivity back on. So the reflectivity is back to rain and not wind. So again, if only Western Ohio. So we're talking I-75 corridor. That is under the threat for severe weather, and you should be alert and keeping an eye on things. But if anywhere east of I-71, so eastern Ohio, really I don't see much of a threat. You could have some rumbles of thunder and lightning tonight, but there's a lot of stable air over Ohio east of I-75. So it's going to kind of eat this storm system up a bit. Now, that said, we're still going to have some strong storms up until that point. But if you're in Columbus, Cleveland, even Cincinnati, I think the worst of it is going to diminish before it hits. Keep an eye on things that could change, but the worst of it really is going to be in Western Ohio. So again, it will start dying out as it moves closer to the three C's. But Western Ohio, you are still very much under the gun for this. So again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for Van Wert County, Paulding County, Defiance County, Allen County as well. And that runs until midnight with a tornado possible tag. So what that means is the severe wind threat is the greatest threat. Straight line wind is the greatest threat, I should say. But any point, a brief tornado could spin up. And the most likely spot for that right now is here in Mercer County. We can actually see some evidence here on our radar. Yeah, we do have some rotation here. Just south of Rockford. It doesn't look like it's just south of Rockford, but my hunch is that it's there because again, this is moving so fast. I think the storms are actually outpacing the radar scans here. So it's 11:30. Hopefully, we're getting the latest update at 11:30. Let me see if I can't switch to the Indianapolis radar really quick. See if we can get another view of this. Again, it's not a very great, not really. All right, so it looks like northern Indiana is still our best bet for radar data on this storm, and it's still giving us a hint of rotation here in northern Mercer County, hence the tornado warning. Question about Indian Lake. You are not under the threat right now, but I would keep an eye on things over the next hour. Same with Bowling Green. No threat there at this moment. So keep your eyes peeled, but no immediate threat. All right. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the Dayton Airport radar. That's out here in Miami County, east of Troy. Again, it's not giving us a very good view of what's going on up in northern Mercer County. One thing I've always advocated for in my day covering this region is, boy, if we could just get another radar here, we could see these storms a lot better. But we're doing what we can with what we've got, and we've got a signature. So we're going to keep an eye on things. Again, the radar hasn't updated yet, but it was showing some rotation right here along State Route 49. I do believe that it's going to be south of Rockford now. State Route 707, State Route 118, those are the areas that I do believe if there's going to be a tornado, that's where it's going to be right now. Let's see if I got any new information from the Weather Service. There is a lot of energy for storms across Ohio tonight. So that's why we're seeing these storms hold together here in Western Ohio. What's happening though, and this is good news for those who are not wanting the storms, most don't, is that even though there's a lot of energy left behind from today's hot and humid weather, it's becoming what we call capped. And it's kind of what it sounds like. You're putting a lid on it. You're putting a cap on it. The energy's in a jar and you're putting a lid on it. There's a big lid over a good portion of Ohio. We also call that a temperature inversion, meaning that we have the warmer air above our heads rather than at the surface like it is in the daytime. And that seems to flip things and push storms away and up so that they can't produce as much wind and tornado damage. That's kind of what's happening in places like Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati, the big populated areas. So if you live in any of those places, your threat is lower because as the storms move there, it's going to enter that cap and it's going to enter that lid on all the energy and it's not going to be able to tap into the energy. But Western Ohio is still very much tapping into that energy. It's happening right now, right here at 11:33 at night. So we are certainly going to try to track that here. So, all right. So we have a new radar scan. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah, this is the area of concern is now in Rockford. So if you're in Rockford, you're out of time. It's on top of you right now. I cannot confirm if there's a tornado on the ground. I am watching several different sources, including the National Weather Service, to see if we can get that data for you. Again, the radar coverage here is not great, but we are trying to see if we can see a better look at it. And I don't see anything too crazy regarding any tornado at this time. The rotation is still there, but as for evidence of a tornado on the ground, I don't see it. Let me switch back to the Northern Indiana radar. There may be something going on here south of Rockford. What I'm looking at here is a radar product that can detect large objects in the air. So not just rain, not just hail, but large objects. And large objects would be something like debris that's getting lofted, getting sucked up into a potential tornado. And if you see, it's supposed to look red. If you see things that aren't red, like right here, south of Rockford, could be debris. So there might be a tornado that is either on the ground or cycling, meaning it's going up and down, up and down. So that would be right here, south of Rockford and north of Salina. Mendon, you need to be in your safe spot. You're basically out of time. You've got like 30 seconds to maybe 15 seconds to get into any safe spots if you're in Mendon. Because the rain is already falling. Salina, you should be taking these precautions as well, just to stay safe. Okay, so we have an update from the Weather Service. They've trimmed the tornado warning, so that's good, but it doesn't necessarily mean the threat's over. Let's see if we've got an update on their text here, 11:34. So still a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Salina. It is not confirmed, but it is still, they are still indicating its capability of producing a tornado, and that tornado warning is going to run until 11:45 tonight. So that's another 10 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're also going to keep an eye on whether or not this is going to get extended into either Auglaize or Allen County. In fact, they did just issue a severe thunderstorm warning for Allen County. It is tagged tornado possible. So again, if you're west of Lima, Elida, Spencerville, Delphus, any of those spots, I would be away from windows. I would have an action plan ready. I'd be watching is what I would be doing. You could be certainly under the gun for some severe wind in your region. So a new extension of that severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to run until midnight, but I do believe it'll be extended. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning up here for Williams and Defiance County. That's going to run until 12:15. Again, we have 60-mile-per-hour wind possible as it crosses the state line. So that's places like Hicksville, Defiance, Bryan, Montpelier, US 127, all the way up into Michigan. And the severe thunderstorm warnings stretch south. Darke County, Preble, a very small portion of Preble County. If we have anybody watching from Wayne County, Indiana, that's Richmond. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning. So most of western Ohio is under some sort of severe weather threat. But the main threat, this tornado warning, is north of Salina, Mendon, Rockford. Rockford's probably going to be out of it here soon. But we really have to watch places like Spencerville, maybe even St. Mary's, although that's a little far south, but we could see spin-ups anywhere in any of these areas. I do expect this strong line of storms to weaken as it moves east. Most indications have shown that it's going to be entering less available energy for storms. Now, what I mean by that is the energy for storms is there. It's getting what we call capped, meaning we're kind of shutting off access to it. Like if you had energy in a jar and you put a lid on it, the energy's still there, but you can't access it with the lid on it. That's kind of what's happening with all this energy from the storms. All right, so some comments. Chelsea says, Mendon's lights are flickering. I believe that. There's probably a lot of very strong wind moving through Mendon right now. So let's zoom in on Mendon, which is in far northern Mercer County. That's right here. That's Mendon. Yeah, it's on top of Mendon right now. Hopefully no tornado, but we're still under the tornado warning there, so we need to be very careful. Let's see some other comments. I'm going to try to pull the comments up in a way that I can better see them as they come in. Let's see. Columbus, you should be fine. Maybe some lightning and thunder, but no severe weather later. Chillicothe, same thing. Yellow Springs, same thing. Again, if you're not in Western Ohio actively under this tornado warning, which is northern Mercer County, I'm not too terribly concerned. This should weaken as it moves east. So we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, a lot of potential for straight line wind damage all the way from Williams County all the way down US 127 until you get to about Preble County. That's a lot of Ohio. But if we zoom out, look at the rest of the state. Nothing's going on. Columbus, you're going to be mostly fine. I do think it'll rain in Columbus tonight, but I don't think severe weather is going to be a major part of it. We could see a couple flashes of lightning, but that's it. Same with Cleveland, same with Cincinnati. Although I wouldn't be surprised maybe if Cincinnati had more than a few rumbles, just because these storms to the west of Cincinnati are kind of holding together. We're just going to kind of have to watch them, but I do think things in Cincinnati will be a little bit better. The air over Ohio really is not as potent as it was in Indiana. But that said, we still do have that tornado warning for Mendon and the northeastern portion of Mercer County that's supposed to run another 5 minutes. So 5 more minutes and then Mercer County, you'll be in the clear, hopefully, unless the National Weather Service does choose to extend that warning into either Auglaize or Mercer County. All right, let's see what we got going on here. If we have any updates from the National Weather Service, we might have some updates coming in here. All right. The rest of Ohio. All right. Yes. I noticed this in the comments, and what did Melissa from Mansfield just said? Mansfield is now under severe thunderstorm watch. That is correct. The severe thunderstorm watch has now been extended to the east a bit farther than I had anticipated. So maybe the storms are holding on to energy more than we thought initially. I still do anticipate that they're going to weaken a little bit as they enter central and north central Ohio. But yes, a new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for further east in Ohio, and it's brand new. So I'm hoping the graphic will update here very shortly to show you where that area is. But yes, there has been a new watch issued. All right. Okay, so this new severe thunderstorm watch includes all of Northeast Ohio. So that includes Cleveland. It includes all the way to about Ashtabula. Okay, so we're going to be watching this for a while now. That said, we do have some very strong storms that are going to be now impacting the I-75 corridor. So that's going to be this new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued, tagged tornado possible for Hardin, Logan, Western Champaign, most of Miami, Shelby, and Auglaize County. So it looks like the Weather Service has not decided to issue a tornado warning. They instead have gone with the severe thunderstorm warning because they believe the main threat is straight line wind damage. Still serious. But there could be a quick spin up tornado that happens in that situation. So, wow, we got to watch this one really, really closely. I am really hoping that we get some better radar data soon, and we should as this line of storms approaches the radar in Wilmington, Ohio. We'll get some better radar coverage here soon. We still do have that tornado warning in effect for northern Mercer County for 2 more minutes. I'm hoping that's going to be allowed to expire. And then the focus really is going to be on all these places that have severe thunderstorm warnings, which is all the orange. So all of those counties there. Let's kind of go through all the different counties that have that. So if you are in Williams, Defiance, Paulding, Van Wert County, Putnam County, Allen County, Auglaize County, Hardin, Logan, Shelby, Mercer, Darke, Miami, Champaign, and Western Preble County, you are all under a severe thunderstorm warning for the threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So you should be away from windows. If anyone has any power outages or any damage to report, let me know. Yeah, this new severe thunderstorm warning does include Indian Lake now. So Indian Lake, if you're not sure where that is, where it says Russell's Point on the map, that's essentially where Indian Lake is, if not just a few miles north of that. So that's the area that we're watching for this new severe thunderstorm warning. Anywhere in the orange, because it's coming fast. The latest data suggests, and let me try to get the latest forward speed on this storm. We want data from Wilmington, which is well, let me try to do this a little faster here. Let's see, the web page isn't updating as fast as I'd like. All right, well, anyway, okay, here we go. We've got it. 60-mile-per-hour winds, still the threat. Storm is moving east at 60 miles per hour still. So yeah, so if it's entering places like Auglaize and Darke County now, it's going to be in Shelby and Miami County very, very soon after that. So let's see if we can't draw some tracking on that. Try to do that here. Okay. All right. Well, all right. We got the background going. Sorry, I've got some data reloading here. We're reloading the state lines and the interstates. There we go. Things came back. Okay. All right. The tornado warning in northern Mercer County is expired, and it's gone. It just popped away. So we have no tornado warnings, and that's good news. Really, what we've got going on is all severe thunderstorm warnings, but many of them are tagged tornado possible, meaning that there could be a spin-up tornado situation. Meaning that a brief small tornado spins up amongst the 60-mile-per-hour wind, and the 60-mile-per-hour wind really is the main threat right now. All right, so let me refresh things on my end to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'll check comments here. Van Wert, you are now getting the storm passing through. So should be a lot of rain, thunder, and lightning over Van Wert, but there's no tornado threat. At least there's no immediate tornado threat. What I can do is switch my radar over to velocity mode and see if I see any areas of rotation. Well, and let's switch to the northern Indiana radar here and look along it. I don't see anything. Maybe some rotation, broad rotation meaning the storm's rotating, but it's not condensed and tight enough to cause a tornado to happen. So think about the way this is. So like if you're thinking of a figure skater, when they have their arms out, they rotate slower, but when they pull their arms together, their body will rotate faster. It transfers that, it's basically a transfer of rotational momentum. The less area you have to rotate, the faster it can rotate because it doesn't have to spread the momentum out as far. So if you have broad rotation, the storm is still rotating, but it's not focusing the energy in a small enough area to create a tornado, if you know what I mean. That's kind of what's happening. I do think we might have a couple areas of broad rotation embedded in this line, but the main threat is still going to be straight line wind. And heavy rain and lightning too. We can't discount that. Lightning and rain, it can be dangerous as well. But we are going to be seeing this line enter a region of better radar coverage. So that's going to be closer to the Wilmington radar. We're going to be able to see this thing a little bit better. But Western Ohio along the I-75 corridor is basically all under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. So if you're along I-75, you really need to be watching out for some straight line wind damage. And that's pretty much most of Western Ohio. You can see a lot of orange on our map, going from just north of Dayton all the way up to Michigan, near Bryan, Ohio, which is in Williams County. Some of the best radar coverage we have at this time is in Williams County, and we have a nasty storm moving through there right now. Montpelier, Bryan, you're probably getting blasted with wind and rain right now. Defiance, just some light rain there. We see some breaks in the area, but could be very windy. Down to Delphus, very windy. Wapakoneta. So again, Indian Lake, if we've got some folks here at Indian Lake, that's right here north of Russell's Point along US 33. A lot of mobile homes in the area, a lot of vacation homes, trailers, campers really need to be in a better place, because any of those, even if it's not a tornado, even if it's straight line wind, can be damaged and it can be life threatening there. So that's what we're looking at here. Belmont County, no, you're good. That's Eastern Ohio. Same with Jackson. Crawford County, you're under a severe thunderstorm watch. And I'm really trying to see why this new watch is not updating on my radar. Let me see if I can do that and get that watch to show up on my radar, because it's there. It's just not showing up. We should see a lot more red filling in all across northeast Ohio here, and it's not doing that. Give me one moment as I try to figure this out. Why are we not getting the watch? Well, I know what we can do. While we're waiting for that to happen, let's switch radars. Okay, I guess that's not going to work either. All right, well, we'll do it with what we can while we've got it here. But we do have a severe thunderstorm watch for most of northern Ohio now, stretching all the way to the Pennsylvania state line. I've got an idea. This is what we can do. We can pop this up on the screen here. Window capture, SPC2. Let's try this. We're going to capture that. All right. Okay, so now on screen, you probably see the severe thunderstorm watch number 320, and you probably see this region of Ohio. It's hard to see it. I'm going to try to zoom in on it a little more, but that's this portion of Ohio. So so that includes Mansfield, Cleveland, all the way up to Ashtabula. It includes Youngstown. This is a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning that it is not, there's no immediate severe weather threat, but the Storm Prediction Center believes that it could indeed become a severe weather situation. So again, that's severe thunderstorm watch 320 in effect until 5 in the morning. I still think the storms aren't going to be as strong over Cleveland and Youngstown and Mansfield and Sandusky, but Well, that does still means we could have a couple strong ones that enter into those areas. So that's why the Storm Prediction Centers went ahead and issued that watch. Why it's not filling in on my radar, I don't know. But those of you who have brought it up and mentioned it are correct. There is a severe thunderstorm watch for that portion of Ohio until 5 o'clock this morning. And we still have this other severe thunderstorm watch. That's watch 319. That runs until 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's for everywhere here shaded in flashy red. But what I'm more concerned about right now is the severe thunderstorm warnings. So that's going to be the orange here. That's where there's an active threat for straight line wind gusts greater than 60 miles per hour. And that stretches all the way from Williams County all the way down into Butler County. In fact, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about. This now includes the city of Dayton. So that's Montgomery County, the rest of Preble County, most of Butler County as well. And this severe thunderstorm warning is going to run until 12:45 tonight. Let's see if we can get you an update on that. It seems to me that the Weather Service graphics are lagging behind tonight, and that might be the reason why we're not seeing things pop up on radar as quick. But what is working is the radar data itself, and that's what matters the most here. The threat is for 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and it is moving east at 55 miles per hour. So it's still moving very, very fast. Think about how fast you're driving at 55 miles per hour. That's how fast the storms are driving. Well, getting driven by the atmosphere, if you know what I mean. So, all right, so we're looking out for that. Let me see if I have any new information to pass along to you all. I'll check. Sometimes I get it through text as well, so it doesn't hurt to check my phone. Okay, nothing other than what I've told you guys. All right, that's good. You know, sometimes no news is good news. That said, the news really is the line of severe thunderstorms that is stretching from about Butler County all the way to Hardin County, all the way to Williams County. That's over 200 miles of western Ohio that are now under severe thunderstorm warnings for a straight line wind damage threat here. Really, I think though, if I look at the radar, the strongest of these storms is over Williams County. So Williams County is the far northwestern portion of Ohio. That includes the cities of Bryan, Montpelier, West Unity. This is really the best radar signature I see regarding strong storms. And I use best in a sense of storms. It's not good for the humans who live there, but it's the best look and the strongest evidence for severe weather at this time. I'm going to switch it over to velocity mode again to try to see what we can in the wind department. There's a lot of wind in this storm, so still some threat for 60 mile per hour straight line wind. I don't see any rotation, and I don't see any debris. So I'm switching over to debris mode. I don't see any evidence of severe weather debris there. All right, so a lot of heavy rain and lightning, though. Same as you go down into, let me try to get my bearings straight. So if we look at Putnam County, I'm seeing a lot of rain and wind, maybe even some small hail in western Putnam County right here north of Ottoville. We're seeing some purple pixels. Purple pixels sometimes indicate small hail. There's not a lot of threat for hail. But you know, I really do think wind and maybe a spin-up tornado is the greatest threat. Wapak, it's almost there. Same with Shelby County, Miami County. We do have a question, a very good one, in our comments here. The comment from Cody says, "Why are they issuing warnings so early?" They're issuing them so early because the storm is moving very fast. It's moving 55, 60 miles per hour, and the Weather Service is confident enough that they're going to hold together that far in advance and move that quickly. So that's why they're issuing it. That's why you see these orange polygons so far ahead of the actual storms is because it's moving so fast, and they're trying to get as many people warned as possible because we have a lot of populated areas here. Great question. I'm glad you asked that. Dakota asked, "Will it fall apart before Columbus and Licking County?" I do believe that there is a threat for some thunder, maybe some lightning. But I think the threat for severe weather in Columbus and Licking County is lower. But keep an eye on things. If you fall asleep, have a way to receive warnings. Our Ohio News and Weather app is great to search for on the App Store or Google Play. And any way to be warned of that is a great thing. But I do think things are going to weaken a bit by the time they get to Columbus. I live in Columbus. I'm streaming live from Columbus, so I'm watching closely as well. If we do get some threat here, I'm going to have to go tie a couple things down on my back deck myself, so you might see me pop out for a couple minutes to do that if I have to, but I'm hoping I don't. Oh, Michaela says enclosed trailer got completely turned to the side. I'm sorry to hear that, Michaela. But yeah, that's the kind of threat we're looking at. Stuff like that. Trailers, anything that can be lofted, anything that wind can get under and lift. Those are the things that are going to be most prone to damage. Power flickering in Greenville. So let's go to Greenville. Yeah, the storm's right on top of Greenville as we speak. So that's right here in the center of Darke County. That storm is now moving into Shelby and Miami County, though. So if you're in Covington, Russia, Fort Loramie, Minster, West Milton, it's basically there. Gettysburg, it's there now. Arcanum, it's there now. Let me switch over to the Wilmington radar so we can get a better look at it. Yeah, and it doesn't, it kind of looks like it's weakening to me, but we still have a lot of wind energy here. So that's what really matters, is what does the damage. If it looks like it's weakening on radar, if it looks like the rain is weakening a little bit, but the wind isn't, well, that's the threat. So we're going to stick with this. Anyone shaded in orange, so Hardin, Logan, Miami, Shelby, Champaign, Montgomery, Preble, Butler, Auglaize, Putnam, even southern Henry County now in the warning, and this really strong storm up here in Williams County. I think this is the strongest one right now up here in Williams County. So that's the overall gist of things. If you're in eastern Ohio, so over here, I'm not too convinced you're going to have a whole lot of severe weather. Again, there is a new severe thunderstorm watch. It's not showing up on my radar for some reason, but it is in effect from the Storm Prediction Center. So, and I can show you exactly what that looks like. It looks like this from their website. So anybody here in this blue outline, so that's basically all of Northeast Ohio, that does include the city of Cleveland. It does include Mansfield. It includes Sandusky. It includes Toledo. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning we're watching things. No immediate severe weather threat for Cleveland or Youngstown or Sandusky or Mansfield or even Toledo just yet. But we're watching things. That's going to run until 5 o'clock. I'm iffy on whether it's going to hold together by the time it gets to Ashtabula or Youngstown or maybe even Cleveland, but we'll keep an eye on things. We had a lot of severe weather in the Cleveland metro area yesterday, especially in Lorain County. There was some damage. The western suburbs of Cleveland, we had some damage yesterday. At least a lot of lightning, too. So we'll be keeping an eye on things. But yes, there is a new severe thunderstorm watch. That was issued at 11:35. And again, it's not popping up on my radar, but it's there. Just want to be able to show you that. I'll keep their webpage available to show you guys if I've got any updates coming there. All right. Let's go back to comments here. Marion, no major threat at the moment. But Marion, let me see. You do have the severe thunderstorm watch. So again, keep watching in Marion. No immediate threat. Union County, you probably have another hour. Massillon, no threat right now. Miamisburg, you are under severe thunderstorm warning, so be prepared for some severe wind there. Same with Bowling Green. Okay. Splitting on the main line, a good thing. Does it increase chances for a spin up? Um, in some instances, yes, but I think our chances of spin up tornadoes is actually diminishing. And if you were with me 10 or 15 minutes ago, I talked about putting a cap on the storm energy. That's still happening. So what that does is, let's say you have storm energy at the surface, like where we live. That's kind of where we care about the most, is the surface. During the daytime, there's a lot of energy at the surface because the sun heated us up all day. So that's a lot of energy for storms. But what happens at night a lot of times is the surface starts to cool down at night. But that doesn't necessarily mean all the energy goes away. It just means that cooler air is sinking down to where we are because cooler air sinks. But the energy is getting pushed farther up. Energy's still there, but it's getting pushed away from the surface. It's getting kind of pushed up into the atmosphere. So we call these elevated storms. And elevated storms still produce a lot of lightning. Elevated storms can produce hail, and they can even produce straight line wind damage. But what elevated storms really struggle to do is produce tornadoes. Because for a tornado, you have to have energy. A tornado has to touch the ground, it has to have energy at the surface. And if it doesn't have surface energy, then you don't really get tornadoes. So we're seeing this transition out of a tornado mode and into a severe wind mode. All right, so that's what I'm seeing right now. Yes, we do get tornadoes at night. Yes, spin ups do happen. A lot of times we get tornadoes at night because of another mechanism called the low level jet. That's not impressing me too much tonight. Um, so I'm going to kind of focus on what I see happening and why storms are starting to transition into straight line wind and then eventually diminish as they push east. Again, all that surface energy we gained during the daytime is starting to go away. It's still there, but it's getting pushed away from the surface up into the upper atmosphere, so we can still get rain, lightning, wind, hail, but we don't have that connection with the surface anymore, and really not as much of a rotation and tornado threat. Okay. Yeah, Dakota. If we didn't have the cape, we would be in a bad situation. I think you mean cap. Yes, 100%. We're getting that cap. That lid is getting put on the surface energy. Energy is getting pushed into the upper atmosphere. Still can have storms, but not as much of a severe weather threat. Lima, yeah, you're getting a decent storm moving through right now. You have a severe thunderstorm warning. And we actually do have a new severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about. This is going to be for Hancock and Southern Wood County. And that's going to run until 1 o'clock this morning. It is not tagged tornado possible, meaning the Weather Service, and I agree from what I see, that the threat for tornadoes is starting to go away, and it's still going to be a straight line wind threat. Again, that energy is getting pushed away from the surface into the upper atmosphere. So still can produce wind damage, but it's really hard to make a connection, a rotating connection with the surface when you don't have the energy concentrated there. And we see that a lot at night. We see that a lot at night, especially in the summer. Those nighttime tornadoes are often in the spring, where you still have cold air and warm air mixing a lot more frequently in the spring. The jet stream is still further south over the Midwest. You get a lot more wind energy. This time of year, now that we're getting close to the summer solstice, yeah, we can get tornadoes during the daytime, but they're a lot less common at night this time of year. We still get strong straight line wind damage at night, though. Because we still do have some energy to tap into. But that said, we're still watching for a couple of areas of severe wind. So that new severe thunderstorm warning until 1 o'clock, that includes Southern Wood. It does not include the city of Bowling Green. So we've got Bowling Green State University there. Not a lot of students on campus in June, but there's some summer classes going on. And we also have this new severe thunderstorm warning for Fulton County that was just issued 3 minutes ago, for even some penny-sized hail. Let's try to get a better look at that. 60 mile per hour wind threat. Yeah, see, I'm not surprised by this, because This storm was the stronger storm when it was over Williams County. It's now exiting Williams County and moving into Fulton County. So yeah, you're going to be looking at some 60-mile-per-hour wind and maybe some penny-sized hail. Not surprised on the hail threat. Again, now that these are becoming elevated thunderstorms, meaning they're not connected with the surface anymore, you lose that tornado threat, but you gain a hail threat in a sense, because you're pushing that energy into that colder air in the upper atmosphere, so you have more water able to freeze into those little ice balls you see falling. And the ice balls are so big, gravity pulls them down to the surface, but they can't melt. The air is still warm, but they can't melt in time. So that's how you can get ice falling from the sky in the summer. It originates in the upper atmosphere where it's well below zero. If you're curious about temperatures in the atmosphere, if you ever take a flight, like a commercial air flight, and you have one of those, you're on a flight with one of those screens that you have in your seat in front of you, and you can actually track where you are in the air. What it'll also do is probably tell you what the air temperature is outside. If you're at cruising altitude, it's probably going to say like -50. It's very, very cold in the upper atmosphere. You're cruising at 36,000 feet. That's how cold it is. But that's where the thunderstorm is too. And that's where that hail originates. And it's so cold that even when it falls due to gravity, it still doesn't melt by the time it reaches the ground. It probably lost some of its mass melting, but it didn't all melt. And that's how you get hail. And when you transfer that energy into the upper atmosphere, the elevated thunderstorms that we get at night, that's why we're seeing that hail threat increasing here, especially here in Fulton County. All right, that was a lot of explanation. We care more about the wind threat in a lot of places too. And that's going to be along I-75. It's pretty much all of I-75 in Ohio, starting south of Bowling Green, running all the way through Findlay and Lima, Wapak and Sidney, and Troy and Tip City and Dayton. Really, you don't get out of the wind threat until you get to almost 275 near Cincinnati. That's the extent of the 60-mile-per-hour wind threat at this time. We have a report from a comment, Allen County, Lima, cloud rotation. Yeah, it's possible that we still do have some rotation in the clouds. Let me check our velocity. All right. I don't see any. Let me switch to the radar in Dayton. I don't. Okay, I do actually see some areas like near Waynesfield here, and even maybe here south of Lima, where we have some very broad rotation. Again, broad rotation means the storm is rotating, but it's not tight enough to produce a tornado. Still something to look out for, and I'm glad people are talking about it. Milton Center, yes, you are under a warning. I don't believe we have a tornado threat in Milton Center. Just we do have a threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind, heavy rain, and lightning. That's the main threat in Milton Center right now. Same with Jackson Center. Jackson Center's right here. You are getting pummeled with wind. Indian Lake, you are probably getting a lot of wind right now, and you're about to get some heavy rain. Probably seeing a lot of lightning over Indian Lake. Again, any campers or mobile homes in Indian Lake should be evacuated. We already had a report from a viewer that talked about a trailer being toppled over because what happens is the wind gets underneath it and can lift it. We call that lift. That's what it is. So, yeah, that's one reason why mobile homes are so dangerous, because the wind can get under it and it just lift things easy. It doesn't even have to be a tornado. It can be a straight line wind event, like is the main threat right now. So, all right. So let's look at the big picture again. Where do we have a severe weather threat? We have a severe weather threat primarily in western Ohio right now, all the way from Fulton and Williams County, all the way down into Butler County. That does not include Cincinnati at this time, but I do believe we could see some gusty wind, thunder, and lightning in Cincinnati within the hour. I think Columbus, you are maybe an hour-ish away from any rain threat, but we're still watching it very closely in Columbus. No severe thunderstorm watch in Columbus and points east. One area that we are watching for is Northeast Ohio, which is under a severe thunderstorm watch, even though it's not popping up on my system, which is frustrating that it's not, but I'll show you where the watch is if you've just joined us. This is Severe Thunderstorm Watch 320, and it includes everywhere in this blue line. I'm getting this data straight from the Storm Prediction Center's website. So it's legit, it's true, and it's in effect until 5 o'clock this morning. I think it's going to get canceled early, to be honest with you. But we're going to watch it because the line of storms that's moving through Ohio has a history of strong wind, and heavy rain, thunder, and lightning. And even this storm up here in Fulton County has a hail threat, penny-sized hail. So penny-sized hail will do minor damage. It's not really windshield cracking or roof damage hail, but it could still damage some yard fixtures and things like that. All right, Mercer and Darke County, you're pretty much out of it. Van Wert and Paulding and Defiance County, you're pretty much done. But where we are looking at this right now is Southern Wood, Hancock, Hardin, Logan, Champaign, Shelby, Miami, Montgomery, Preble, and Butler counties. Those are the areas that I'm most concerned about a straight line wind damage threat. The tornado threat is primarily over. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but we're really starting to run into an area where there's not a lot of potential for tornadoes. I'm not seeing a lot of spin energy or rotating energy in the central portions of the state. So I do think we're still going to see a weakening trend. Even though we have a weakening trend, we still have a straight line wind threat through hold on here. Let's try to. There we go. Through Western Ohio along I-75 from, whoa, we zoomed way in here. Didn't want to zoom in that much at this time. Really, because this is a big picture situation. We have a widespread threat for severe wind with this severe thunderstorm warning from Hardin down to Miami County that runs until 12:45. We also have this severe thunderstorm warning for the Dayton area that runs until 12:45. And we have this one for Hancock and Southern Wood until 1 o'clock. And we have this one for Fulton County and for until 12:45. The one for Fulton County, again, does include a penny-sized hail threat, which is not surprising to me because that's been the strongest storm all along, and we often do see a hail threat develop as storms push upward into the atmosphere at night, when that surface energy is starting to go away, but we still have energy few thousand feet above us to tap into for thunderstorm development. So still, to me, it looks like the whole thing's weakening. It seems like scan to scan, I've seen less and less concerning rain, less and less concerning wind, but the threat is still there. It's becoming more isolated, meaning we could still see 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, still see thunder and lightning, but it's not going to be everywhere in the severe thunderstorm warning anymore. It's going to be very spotty. And that's good. We're trending in the right direction, but we still want to make sure that folks are aware of what's going on, because everyone deserves to know about this across the area. Let's see if we've got any new comments coming in. Huron County, I think you're going to be okay. You are under a severe thunderstorm watch. I would have a way to receive warnings, but I do believe it's going to weaken before it reaches Huron County. Thunderstorms are good for sleep. They can be. Lima, yeah, I'd like to know how things are in Lima. To me, according to my radar in Lima, the threat has really passed Lima. Right now, we have some heavy rain east of Lima heading toward Ada, which is home to Ohio Northern University. Um, Again, it's summer break for a lot of students and faculty there, but we still have people taking summer school, so there could be some people on campus there in Ada. But yeah, I bet you it's pretty windy there with a lot of thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. Waynesfield getting a lot of thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. Indian Lake, a lot of thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. So that means Bellefontaine is going to be getting that here very soon. St. Paris, all of Miami County still seeing heavy rain and lightning and some strong wind. Still the potential for a gust or two to get up to 60. So we're going to be watching very closely for that. City of Dayton. Whoops. Zoomed in a little too much on that there. There we go. Ooh, click the wrong button. All right, so City of Dayton, you're about 20 minutes away from any wind. And about, well, you're probably about, I'll say this. If you're in Dayton, you're about 10 minutes away from the wind, 20 minutes to 15 minutes away from the heavy rain. So not long. So being away from windows and in a sturdy structure is good if you're in the Dayton area. Of course, that's a big population. I think we have almost 600,000 people living in Montgomery County, if my estimate is correct. So that's a lot of people, and a lot of people that need to be aware of this. Preble County, it's on top of you right now. Really, I'm not super impressed with this line of thunderstorms. It does seem to be getting better. Not out of the woods yet, but I'm seeing some improvement in the situation. Let's take a look at our wind velocities here. The good news is this line of storms is near the Dayton Terminal Doppler radar. So we can actually get a really good view of it. And we do actually, okay. I will say this, there is quite a bit of strong wind coming through Troy right now. So, we'll have to see if this severe thunderstorm warning gets issued east of Troy. There's a lot of wind here, but is it 60 miles per hour? Is it damaging? Possibly. Okay, actually, we did get an update from the National Weather Service. They have opted not to continue that severe thunderstorm warning further east. They have instead opted for a special weather statement. That's actually a good thing. It usually means that the storm is weakening below severe criteria, meaning they don't believe the wind will usually be greater than about 50 miles per hour. So less likely for damaging wind as it moves east. Yeah, and they're saying that if you're east of the orange, so east of Bellefontaine, you're less likely to see damaging wind. So that includes places like Marysville, London. Although we did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning for Champaign and Clark County. And I think I know why. It's because of that gust of wind that's coming through Troy right now that they're seeing on the Dayton Airport radar. So the Dayton Airport radar, it says on my screen, if you can look, it says T-Day. That's basically Terminal Dayton, or the weather radar for the terminal radar for the Dayton Airport. It's out here in Miami County because it needs to be just far enough from the radar, or I should say far enough from the airport to give the airport a good look at the severe weather threat. And it does a good job. The Dayton Terminal Doppler radar is so good at providing severe weather coverage for the Miami Valley. And it's doing that right now. So again, new severe thunderstorm warning until 1 o'clock for a smaller area. Not surprised by this, that it's a smaller area. For Champaign and Clark County. And it's due to this wind threat here in Troy and Tip City, all the way up to Fletcher. There's some strong wind here. We could even see some hail out of this again. Sometimes we get that in some of these nighttime storms. And they have tagged it tornado possible. So maybe they're thinking because they're getting some really good data at the ground level that there could be a spin-up tornado here. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we're going to keep a really close eye on this. I think this right now is the biggest threat. is this storm that's moving through Miami County into Champaign and Clark County. So we had somebody say South Charleston. South Charleston, you are actually not in the severe thunderstorm warning. So South Charleston, I would keep an eye on it, but you're not in the warning right now. So good for there. Marion and Bucyrus, no, not right now. I think things are going to weaken before it gets there, but keep an eye on things. Same with Newark and Licking County. Mohican, I think things will weaken before it gets to Loudonville, Ashland County, but could see some rain, thunder, and lightning there, so still something to look out for, especially if folks are camping. I know our state parks are really popular this time of year. I love camping myself. It's a great thing to do this time of year, but we get storms this time of year, so that's why we're trying to keep people informed when this does happen, because it's summer, we're wanting to be outside, like we all do. Well, most of us. I'm one of them. All right, but yeah, the strongest wind and the biggest threat right now is this area right here. So Casstown, New Carlisle, Northampton, and even Springfield, Northridge, Enon, north of Fairborn, so where I-70 and I-70 or 675 come together. You're all under this severe thunderstorm warning, but I do think we have a lot of wind coming out of this storm. I think there's some damaging wind potential here along State Route 41 and State Route 201. So 201 comes out of Huber Heights as it goes north. 41 runs parallel to US 40, which is down here. US 40 is down here. All of those do have the potential for some very strong wind. But further east than that, it seems like the Weather Service has kind of shown things weakening a little bit, hence the special weather statement. All right, some new news. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Toledo metro area now. Probably because of this same storm that is in Fulton County, and it's quickly approaching Lucas County. So suburbs of Sylvania, Holland, Maumee, in Lucas County, and then probably Perrysburg, Bowling Green, places in Wood County. This severe thunderstorm warning, let's try to get some data on that. Also a hail threat, it's going to run until 1:15. And it also has the threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind. The storm is still back in Fulton County, but it's moving very, very quickly. Let's see if I can get the data, the exact data on that for you. I have to refresh my severe thunderstorm warnings here. There's so many of them. We got to get the latest data. And this would have come out of the Weather Service in Cleveland. So let's see what's going on in Toledo. Severe thunderstorm warning until 1:15. Okay, so it is moving fast, still at about 55 miles per hour. And it does have a threat for 60-mile-per-hour wind and some penny-sized hail. So again, that's going to be for the Toledo metro area. I'm going to try to switch to the Cleveland radar to see if we can get a better look. I hate to say it, but Toledo also doesn't have very great radar coverage. So we're going to be watching that one very closely. But again, a new severe thunderstorm warning for the Toledo metro. That's going to run until 1:15. We also have a special marine warning. That's this portion of Lake Erie, including Kelly's Island and Put-in Bay, where the storms will also roll through, and it goes down to Cedar Point at Sandusky, Oak Harbor, Port Clinton, stretching all the way back to Toledo for wind up to 49 knots, which is roughly 58 miles an hour. So dangerous wind there out on the lakes. Hopefully boats are off. I mean, most boats are here past midnight, but that is what we're looking at here. Okay, so yeah, we're still looking at a pretty decent severe thunderstorm threat. Even though the line does still show signs of breaking apart. So I know I'm aware that it sounds like I'm saying two different things. I keep saying new severe thunderstorm warning and it's weakening. In a sense, both are true. I think we're going to see the severe thunderstorm warnings that continue to come in to be less widespread, more isolated, meaning less people will eventually be under them. That's what I mean by weakening. It doesn't necessarily mean that the threat is completely over. It just means the threat is going to be more isolated. Not everyone's going to get a strong thunderstorm. Less and less towns will get severe weather, but we're still watching for severe weather as we go through the night. And speaking of that, my radar product has now decided to let us know about the severe thunderstorm watch. So you see how all of Northeast Ohio is flashing red or light red, and that stretches all the way down to like Lebanon. So you have this whole portion of Ohio that's not a tornado warning. That's a severe thunderstorm watch. And honestly, maybe I should consider adjusting my color scheme for this so it's less confusing in the future. I think that's what I'm going to do. The flashing red is a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning we're watching. It's not happening, we're watching. The orange is a severe thunderstorm warning. That's where 60-mile-per-hour wind and some penny-sized hail is possible. That stretches all along I-75 from Toledo all the way down to basically Westchester. So that's 200 miles of western Ohio right there. But the main areas that are seeing the worst of it, as of right now, and if I throw on our velocity, really a nasty situation here in Clark County. So if you're in New Carlisle, Enon, Springfield, I-70 in this area, this is a very strong area of straight line wind right now. I don't see any rotation at the moment. I could try to switch it over to the Dayton Airport radar. I don't see any areas of rotation at the moment, but we're going to keep an eye on that. That's where some of the strongest wind is right now, this area here in Clark County. If you move north, we're starting to get farther away from the radar, so we don't get the best picture. But we still do have the threat for some very strong wind from Kenton to Bellefontaine, up toward Findlay, and yes, even the city of Toledo. So really the western corridor of Ohio, still along I-75, 60-mile-per-hour straight line wind is your main threat. And maybe even some penny-sized hail. Penny-sized hail isn't going to do major damage, but it could cause some small damage to trees, maybe even put little dents in your car. I don't think it's really a windshield breaker or a roof damager, but, still not great. Okay, so back to comments. How long before it hits Marion? I think Marion, you got about 45 minutes. No severe thunderstorm warning for you, but we're watching it. Same with Bucyrus. Can I start going to bed in Lima? Yes, I do believe in Lima you are clear. Everything's been canceled in Lima. It still may say tornado watch for you in Lima, but it's passed. The watch hasn't been canceled yet, but it probably will be soon. Let's see. South Vienna, yeah, I'd be watching out if you're anywhere in Clark County for that strong wind gust. So Clark County, be on the lookout. Bryan, Ohio, I'd still be kind of keeping an eye on things, but it's almost done in Bryan. If the wind has died down for you in Bryan, you can probably start to go to bed. Where I wouldn't go to bed yet is I-75 corridor. Especially the northern portion. Lima, you're good. Wapak, you're good. Sydney, you're good. Dayton, you should stay up. Dayton, keep an eye on things. Stay away from windows. I don't see a tornado threat for Dayton. I know things have gotten scary in Dayton in the past. I was part of the coverage for the 2019 tornadoes. That is not what's happening tonight. That is not going to happen tonight. But you still want to keep an eye on things, and I hope everyone's power stays on, because we could still be looking at a straight line wind threat. Again, especially one of the biggest areas for that is going to be in Clark County right now. I do see that strong wind that's coming through New Carlisle right now. It looks a little weaker in this latest scan, but we're still going to look out for it. Just because it weakens one scan, it can strengthen for another. Things are becoming more isolated, though. I think we're going to see some small, concentrated areas of damaging wind, but it's not going to take up the whole state like it did an hour ago. So Akron, I think you're going to be good. You are under a severe thunderstorm watch in Akron, but things do seem to be getting a little bit better there. Washington Courthouse, you've got about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Tiffin, Seneca, Wyandotte, you've got about 20 to 30. That's kind of what we're looking at. All right, so just the big picture again. I still think that the line of thunderstorms is gradually weakening as it moves east. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if we still had some severe thunderstorm warnings still continue to pop up, but they're going to be popping up in smaller areas as we go through the next hour or so. That's generally what I'm thinking is going to be the case here. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, so just to show you that we're still looking for isolated severe weather, the National Weather Service has now put Delaware County in a watch, meaning that it's not there in Delaware County yet, but because of the strong storm back to the west, we're going to keep an eye on things for strengthening. City of Columbus, Franklin County, you are not in a watch. But Delaware County now is. So just to let you know that's the case. We're still looking at some strong storms moving through, even though we're seeing gradual weakening. It also looks like the Weather Service has elected not to extend a severe thunderstorm warning, meaning it's happening, into Cincinnati and Xenia. So this area from Cincinnati all the way up through Xenia and Greene County does appear that we're going to see some gusty wind, some thunder and lightning, maybe even some very small hail, but not to a severe level. So that's good news there. Okay. Let's see. Defiance, you are in the clear. You're just seeing some light rain, and that's all you'll see from here on out. The strongest storms are really about to roll into Lucas County. We've got quite a strong storm here that's going from Fulton into Lucas County. I think we've got some hail in that one. Let's see if we have an update from the Weather Service on this. Yeah, we could see penny-sized hail moving into Sylvania, Maumee, Perrysburg within the next 10 to 20 minutes. Findlay, you're probably seeing some heavy rain, gusty wind, thunder, and lightning. Kenton as well, Bellefontaine, and another strong area of wind here in Clark County. This was one of our strongest regions of wind. So I'm going to take a look at it. Looks like we still got some strong wind here over Enon, Springfield, and Northridge right now. All right, let's see if I can get some other updates. No major updates from the Weather Service or any of my Ohio News and Weather folks. So no, Lima, you should be in the clear from any severe weather threat. Yeah, I don't see any tornado or strong wind threat in Lima anymore. US 68 is kind of our focus route now. So that's Springfield, Urbana. That we could be seeing some strong wind there. Dayton, some gusty wind. All the way down to Hamilton. Cincinnati, I do think we're going to see some thunder and lightning and maybe some gusts there, but non-severe thunderstorms near Cincinnati. We'll keep an eye on things, but the trend for Cincinnati appears weaker. Same with Columbus. I really think Columbus is going to be in better shape here soon. We haven't had any storms in Columbus yet. I live in Columbus. I have not seen anything concerning me. Of course, my window's shut. My window here in my room faces east, so I probably am not going to see anything anyway. My west facing windows are in the back of my house. So, Russell's Point. It should be through Russell's Point in Indian Lake now. For those of you in Logan County, it's mostly on the eastern fringe of Logan County now, so West Mansfield. The Weather Service does think it's not severe anymore. I will check. I do think we're looking at 40 to 50 mile per hour wind, though, in West Mansfield and heading into Marysville, into Union County, so really still be looking out for it in Union County. Strongest wind I see is still in Clark County, so Springfield, Northridge, Enon, even maybe Yellow Springs. So, spots there include, Glen Helen, John Bryan State Park. If you're familiar with Young's Jersey Dairy, that's out there. Those areas could be looking at some strong winds very, very soon. Let's turn the Dayton radar back on again and turn wind mode on. Okay, it's better. It looks better. Hoping it stays that way. Not out of the woods yet, but better. I really do think that the trend overall still is better. I think we're going to see a lot less orange on the map within the hour. I still think we're going to see some popping up, but I think we're going to see less area covered. We're starting to run out of energy. And what energy we do have is getting pushed into the upper atmosphere, where it can still cause strong storms, but it doesn't connect with the surface anymore. So our tornado threat is low. Straight line wind threat will weaken, but not entirely go away. Could see some hail up to maybe penny-sized. We're not looking at giant hail tonight, but penny-sized hail can still hurt. If you have any animals outdoors, I don't think it'll kill any animals or seriously hurt them, but I think it could hurt physically, as in pain. But not major and widespread by any threat. The greatest population centers under a severe weather threat now are Toledo and Dayton. So those are our bigger cities that could have some strong weather coming our way. Really, this strong storm here in western Lucas County is where the strongest bit of this storm is happening at the moment. So I am seeing at least a bit of a hail signature there in western Lucas County. So that's going to be spots like Sylvania, Maumee, northern Wood County, including Perrysburg, Haskins. I think we had a comment about Haskins. Yes, if you're in Haskins, you could be dealing with 60 mile per hour wind. Same with Bowling Green and Bowling Green State University. Findlay, it's on top of you now. The wind is probably pushing into Seneca County and Sandusky County, though. So Fremont to Tiffin, I'd keep an eye to the sky. Bucyrus, it's still a bit of ways from you. Hopefully it'll weaken before it gets there, but we're still going to keep an eye on it. Seeing a lot less orange. That's good. But we still do have orange. And we still have orange in a lot of populated areas like Toledo, Bowling Green, Findlay, Urbana, and Dayton. Dayton's a big one, too. So. All right. We had a question. Was there a tornado in Salina? I have not heard any confirmation of that. I've heard a couple people ask and still... So I will work to get word on any tornado in Salina. We may not know for sure until tomorrow when the sun comes up. So that does mean that there was some sort of damage, whether it's straight line wind or a tornado. The Weather Service will go out there tomorrow and check, and I will try to monitor the situation as I see it. Had a comment about heat lightning. Just a reminder, that's not really a thing. Heat lightning is a distant thunderstorm. It means you're seeing it, but you're not hearing it. It means that the lightning is like at least 10 miles away from you. Sound doesn't really carry more than 10 miles away. It's just too far to hear. You can see the lightning, but you can't hear it. It's still part of a thunderstorm, and it still may be approaching you. So just if you see lightning, just keep that in mind, especially if you see lightning to the west. If lightning is to your west, that means it's probably coming toward you, and you should probably just keep an eye on it. All right. That said, and I think this is kind of relevant, severe thunderstorm warning, a new one for Sandusky, Seneca, Crawford, and Wyandotte County, and this severe thunderstorm warning is going to run until 1:30 in the morning. And this again is for penny-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So yeah, new severe thunderstorm warning, most likely for this storm that is moving out of Hancock County into Seneca, Wyandotte and Crawford County. I'm going to try to see if I have any updates from any folks here in those areas. Let's see. Yeah, there's still some gusty wind in that Hancock County storm, so I can see why they've issued it. But again, it's a lot more isolated than it once was. So you're going to see it in isolated pockets in Seneca and Wyandotte and Crawford County, but not all over the entire county, if you know what I mean. So still a severe thunderstorm warning for that strong storm there. It doesn't look super impressive on radar, but we still do have pockets of that running through the area. All right, some good news though. All but one severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled in southern Ohio. The only one still remaining is the one over Urbana and Springfield, and that is and was the strongest storm. It is no longer tagged tornado possible, so that's good news. But it is still producing the threat for some 60-mile-per-hour wind. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, wow. Yeah, we do have a quite the wind threat here running through Springfield at the moment. I do believe that this is probably 60-mile-per-hour wind coming through Clark County as we speak. US 68 is where it's coming through. And along I-70 and US 40. So if you're in South Charleston, South Vienna, Catawba, I would be, away from windows and in a safe place. Out of a mobile home if possible, not because of a tornado threat, but of quite a significant straight line wind threat that's coming through Clark County right now. Let's see here. And if you're in Union County, I would keep an eye on it. The Weather Service has a special weather statement, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another severe thunderstorm warning here. So that would be Eastern Clark and Madison County. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw another warning issued here. Let's see if I can refresh my data here from the Weather Service and try to get you the latest on the forward motion. The forward motion is important because that tells us how fast the storm is moving. They're still saying 55, and I agree with that. I do think 55 miles per hour is a legit thing. So again, strong storm coming here through Clark County. All right, so just what I'm going to do here is I am going to give you another big picture update, show you what's going on here across the state, and then I'm going to take like a 3 to 5 minute break. I am going to keep the stream going. I'm not going to stop the stream because I think there's still some coverage to do here, especially with the severe thunderstorm warnings here up in north central Ohio from Toledo down to Bucyrus. Still going to cover those for you. But I need to go out to my back deck and cover up a couple things. I'm here in Columbus. There's no major threat for severe weather here in Columbus, but I do think it's going to rain, and I want to cover up my grill and kind of batten down the hatches on my deck a little bit. So give me 3 to 5 minutes to do that, and I'll be right back with you. Again, I'm not going to drop the stream, so stick with me. I'm going to keep the live radar up, and then I'll be right back, okay? But I'm just going to take care of that really quick. Cleveland, you are probably still over an hour away, but I would keep a watch on things in Cleveland. The orange clouds, you are probably seeing a reflection of orange light. So if you've ever seen those orange lights, like in parking lots or maybe in like a factory that has a bunch of orange lights, it's probably reflecting off the clouds. That's probably what's happening. Milton Center, I think you're good. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Severe thunderstorm warning. We're watching for 60-mile-per-hour wind in Wyandotte, Crawford, Seneca, Sandusky, Ottawa counties, Lucas and Wood County as well, and then a very small sliver of strong wind in Clark and Champaign County right now. So again, that's the statewide view. That's where the threat is at the moment. I'm going to take 3 or 5 minutes to take care of a couple things at my house here in Columbus, and I'll be right back to continue coverage with you very, very shortly. But stick with us here at Ohio News and Weather, and I'm going to keep the live radar running. Okay, Google, turn exterior illumination on. Exterior illumination. Okay, Google, turn exterior illumination off. Exterior illumination off. right, everybody. I am back. Thank you for sticking with us here. Um, I do want to thank you guys for sticking with me. Yes, as the comments suggest, all I was doing was I was grilling earlier today, and I didn't put the cover back on the grill, and I had a couple other things out on the deck. Just wanted to cover it up because even though I'm here in Columbus and I'm not currently under the threat of severe weather, it's probably going to rain and get a little breezy. That said, if anyone's in Columbus and watching from this area, that's essentially what we're looking at. We're looking at some rain, maybe a little thunder and lightning, gusty wind, and that's about it. I'm not too concerned about any major severe weather threat. And that's also true for our friends in Cincinnati. So we got a lot of folks probably watching from the Cincinnati area. No severe thunderstorm warning there. Just a couple of strong storms. We still do have this severe thunderstorm warning, though, for Clark and Champaign County. That's going to run for another 5 minutes. The Weather Service has not indicated that they're going to extend that into Union and Madison County. I am not so sure that they should. The radar doesn't look as bad as it did. Well, I mean, it's still a lot of gusty wind, but it's mostly, it might be starting to become a little more elevated. But South Charleston, South Vienna, and even stretching into London, you're probably going to be getting some very gusty wind here very soon. Just gonna let my cat out of here. You close the door; they don't like that too much. But anyway, yeah. So we're looking at some strong gusty wind. Cedarville getting some gusty wind. We could have some, maybe some pockets of 60-mile-per-hour wind still here. But I do still expect it to weaken as it heads to the east. Still not completely out of the woods just yet. Okay. And this is why I went and covered my deck up a little bit, because there is now a special weather statement for Columbus. That includes Franklin County, Delaware County, and the rest of Madison and Union County. Because they're expecting the potential of 50-mile-per-hour wind to exist through the next, I would say, 50 minutes or so until 1:45. So that's for Columbus, 50-mile-per-hour gusts, maybe some thunder and lightning. In fact, I might even open up the shades on my window here just to see if we have any lightning outside. Again, mine's facing east, so it's hard to see because the storm is west of here, but that is what it is. So that's what we're looking at for the Columbus Metro. Same with the Cincinnati Metro. There is a 50-mile-per-hour special weather statement out for the wind there, but I don't see it strengthening in Cincinnati, and I don't really see it strengthening for Columbus either. But we'll keep an eye on things. We're going to be watching this closely. But where we still do have severe thunderstorm warnings, where we actually could see 60-mile-per-hour wind, is running through Toledo right now. And unfortunately, Toledo does not have the best radar coverage. It's kind of in between Cleveland and Detroit. But we do have a strong storm that's going through downtown right now. So this is downtown Toledo. I'm even seeing some purple pixels indicating that we could have some small hail rolling through Toledo and Lucas County. And it's moving east at 55 miles per hour. So that's going to head out over the lake. And then it will impact places like Put-in-Bay, Kelly's Island, Port Clinton, Marblehead, Oak Harbor, which are not under any severe thunderstorm warning, but it's heading that way. So we're gonna watch that very closely. We also have this strong storm that's it has very isolated pockets of wind, but still some strong wind potential up to 60 miles per hour for Tiffin, Bettsville, Sycamore, Upper Sandusky. That'll be heading towards Republic and Bucyrus within the next 10 to 15 minutes as well. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So we had a comment about Willard. Yeah, it's calm in Willard now, but I would be looking out if you're in Willard. So Willard's here. The storm is approaching. We'll see if it maintains strength over Willard. It could. So next 30 minutes or so, just be on the lookout for a strong storm. Lima is good. You are safe in Lima. Clark County storm is looking better. Milton Center, you are fine. Fine there. It's gusty there, but I don't see any severe weather threat for Milford Center other than a gusty storm with maybe some heavy rain and lightning across Union County. Let's see. Yeah, so Marysville, there's a lot of rain and gusty wind through Marysville, but no severe thunderstorm warning there, no 60-mile-per-hour wind, but it could be gusty, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Let's see here. Oh, this is a decent storm down here in Butler County near Hamilton. Maybe some gusty wind in that. Let's switch over to velocity for... Okay, there's not a whole lot of concentrated wind energy in that Butler County storm. It looks just like a lot of heavy rain, lightning, maybe some gusty winds, but that's about it. So my concern for damage there isn't a whole lot. Same for Union County, Madison County, and most of Columbus up towards Delaware. Whoops. We zoomed way out. Didn't mean to do that. Radar can be touchy. Okay. But yeah, so the two severe storms are these two, which is the Seneca County storm, the Wyandotte County storm, Crawford County, and I don't know. I don't really think it looks that bad in Sandusky County. I'm wondering if the Weather Service will trim Sandusky County out of this warning here soon. Yellow Springs, you're in the clear. Bucyrus, watch out for the next 20 minutes. Massillon, I think these are going to be weak by the time they get to Massillon, but you're at least an hour and a half away from Massillon. Cleveland, you could probably drift to sleep in Cleveland, but have a way to wake up if you need to. I know Cleveland is under a severe thunderstorm watch, but it seems like things are starting to break apart as they head towards Cleveland. We're going to have to watch this Toledo storm, really, and see what it does when it interacts with the lake here. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on things. But yeah, these are really the two storms to watch. The strong gusty storm near Toledo, and these two gusty storms that are breaking apart but still have some strong wind potential from Tippin to Bucyrus. All right, so another thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to look to see if I've got some reports on my phone. Nothing new there. Let's see. Yeah, it does appear to me that these storms are kind of not terribly strong anymore, but I'm going to... Okay. I actually see somewhat of a good sign in these southern storms. Let me turn on the radar here. All right. So what we see here, this is the leading edge of the rain right here, along... well, you can see where the US 35 symbol is here. That's the leading edge of the rain. What that is the gust front. The gust front is way ahead of the heaviest rain. If you see that on radar, that usually means the storm is blowing its energy out, meaning it's weakening. That was expected as it runs into that capped air. There's basically the energy's still there, but there's what we call a cap on the energy, meaning we're putting a lid on all that energy we gain during the daytime. So that's good. I'm happy to see that. We still have to watch the trends on these northern storms, though, with a severe thunderstorm warning for Seneca, Wyandotte, and Crawford County. And this is going to run until 1:30. So we're going to try to stick with this until 1:30 and see what happens as the storm moves into Erie, Huron, and maybe even northern Richland County too. Marion, it doesn't look like the storm over you is all that strong, although I do think we could have some gusty wind in Marion County. South Charleston, South Vienna is horrible right now. Okay. Yeah, let's look there. That was definitely a pretty strong wind gust that was marching through Clark County here. And yeah, it looks like London is looking at some gusty wind right now too. So yeah, if you're in London, I wouldn't be surprised if we had 50-mile-per-hour wind and maybe some minor damage there. Now, if you're in South Vienna, South Charleston, the threat is over. Hopefully not any damage or any major damage there, but your threat is over. If we're going to see any gusty wind, it's going to be from Delaware down to London. So basically US 42 right now. Columbus, not just yet, but we could have some gusty wind and some rain. For those of you who are with me a little while now, you saw that I stepped away for a bit, and that's why. Are we going to be storm watching in Ohio all summer long? Yeah, not every day. In fact, it looks like next week is going to be relatively quiet until the end of the week. I think we're going to have a pretty decent weekend. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday look cooler and less stormy. But as we heat up again, we'll have those ebbs and flows. We're going to have some more severe weather days this summer, but not every day. We're going to have some stretches without severe weather, and I think after this, we'll have about 5 to 6 days where we don't have to worry too much about severe weather. So that'll be nice after tonight. Okay, let's see if we can get updates on our northern storms. I kind of want to look at Toledo again. We haven't done that in a bit, and plus that's probably the most populated area that's dealing with severe weather right now. I do think a lot of the Toledo metro area could be dealing with some small hail and some gusty wind, particularly the gusty wind. That's going to be in places that are east of Toledo right now, so eastern Lucas County, and then even portions of Ottawa County as well could be getting that gusty wind, maybe 50 to 60 miles per hour in spots. But I'm hoping this one will be on a weakening trend too. We'll be watching very closely. Cincinnati looks like it's just going to be some gusts and nothing too bad. Same with Plymouth. Same with Goshen. Yes, there is a severe thunderstorm watch for Plymouth and Richland County, but the storm we'd have to watch for Richland County is this one near Tiffin and Upper Sandusky. It really, really seems to be weakening a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on it. The severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 1:30. So, my goal is to stick with it until then. If we're all clear of severe thunderstorm warnings at 1:30, that's when both of these are set to expire. I probably will end the stream unless something else pops up. I know we still have a severe thunderstorm watch for Northeast Ohio until 5 o'clock. I know we still have this one until 3 o'clock. I do believe those are going to get canceled before that time. 5 o'clock is still 4 hours from now. The storms are moving so fast, and they're kind of getting blown apart by that cap on the energy. And as that happens, we will essentially see the threat weakening. Let's go back to Toledo. And let's look at the wind, the velocity. Let's see if I see anything on velocity or in our wind data here, if I can get it to load. Just taking its sweet time to load. Let's switch to the Detroit radar and see if that'll give us any information that we need. Okay, there we go. Detroit radar it's not showing a whole lot of wind. Maybe some gusty wind out near Millbury and heading toward the lake, but I'm not entirely convinced that wind is severe, meaning 60 mile per hour anymore. Though Detroit and Cleveland radars don't give me a lot of evidence of that. let's check the Detroit airport radar. All right, I mean, there might be some strong wind here near Oak Harbor, back toward Millbury, but it's moving out of Toledo. Still a lot of rain, thunder, and lightning, but the severe wind threat is moving out of Toledo. It looks like you're just gonna be dealing with some heavy rain for a little bit, thunder and lightning, and that's about it. Still, lightning's dangerous, and you should stay inside, but it does seem to be getting better for Toledo. Then we'll be watching this one to see if it maintains any strength. I'm not seeing a whole lot of wind in this one either. It is kind of far from the radar, so that it's harder to see out here. But you might have seen the orange polygon flash a little bit. That tells me that we've got an update from the National Weather Service. So let's see what that update is. Severe thunderstorm warning for. All right, it was updated right now. Moving east at 50, so they're slowing down a bit. An hour ago, these were moving east at 60. Now they're moving east at 50, so they're slowing down a little bit. But this storm still does have the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Some locations that could still see that are Bucyrus, Upper Sandusky, although it's moving out of Upper Sandusky, Tiffin, although it'll be moving out of Tiffin soon. Green Springs, Bloomville, Sycamore, New Regal, Chatfield, Benton, Bettsville, Republic. All right, so those are places along US 224 here, Attica. Even if you're in Willard, just keep an eye out in Willard. Same with Shelby, New Washington. You're going to want to look to the west. You're probably seeing some lightning. I think it's weakening, though. I think we'll see this become not severe by 1:30. But we're going to keep an eye on it. I'll stick with you guys at least until 1:30. So we can both monitor this Toledo storm and the Seneca Crawford County storm. Elsewhere, it's really a diminishing threat. So if you're in Columbus, I think you're going to get maybe a gust of wind, some brief heavy rain, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder, and that's it in Columbus. Same with London, Delaware, all the way down to Cincinnati. It looks like Cincinnati's getting their rain and gusty wind right now. None of it's severe. None of it's a major wind threat. But it is getting a little bit better. Severe thunderstorm warning for Marion County. I don't see Marion County under a severe thunderstorm warning, but let me check. Maybe it's not popping up in my weather service feed here. We've had a couple issues with that tonight, so I still don't see Marion. I see severe thunderstorm watch for Marion County, meaning we should be watching, but no immediate threat there. But I'll keep an eye on it for you. We do have that storm here south of Marion, near Waldo. Doesn't look too strong to me on rain, nor does it on wind mode. No debris. Okay. So, yeah, hopefully we're doing okay there. Looks like Delaware, Plain City, Powell, Columbus Zoo area is getting some gusty wind. You're about to get some heavy rain. Same with Dublin. Maybe Worthington, Hilliard will probably be getting some gusty wind. Maybe some thunder and lightning here, but nothing that I'm too concerned about damage. Even that strong storm that produced some gusty wind in Clark County that's now moving through West Jeff and London. That'll be moving into Western Franklin County. It doesn't have the same bite it did a while ago. Really not seeing a whole lot of strong wind anywhere at this time. But we're going to stick with... Hi there, everybody. Watching the stream, it looks like... Hi, everybody. I am back. Looks like I had a little internet issue here, but it looks like we're back. So yeah, the plan is to keep with these storms. Once the severe thunderstorm warnings expire, we'll probably end the stream, although I'll still stay up a little bit after that, too, just to keep an eye on things, and if things get worse again, I can always start another stream. But I think things are improving here, and we'll probably end here in about 15 minutes. Um, but let's look at the big picture. We know that there's a strong storm that's exiting Toledo. We know we've got a couple strong storms here in Seneca and Wyandotte County. If you look at this, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Northeast Ohio. You see all of this red indicating a severe thunderstorm watch. I think we're really struggling to see where these have been canceled. If things aren't updating, I don't really see the severe weather threat anymore. I think things are weakening quite a bit, and we're just looking at some rain and slight gusts and maybe a flash or two. And that's it. This is quickly becoming a non-issue. Elsewhere across the country, there's a couple strong storms in Oklahoma, one near Tulsa and another one between Lubbock and Midland in Texas. We also did have some severe weather out near New York City, but that has ended as well. So really, the severe weather threat across the country is getting better. Some good news. That Toledo severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. So not only has it not been extended into Ottawa County, but it's just been canceled 15 minutes early. All right, good news. The bulk of that storm is now moving over Lake Erie, and probably any strong storms, they're a little farther north going through Detroit right now. They're going to move into Canada. So, that's southern Ontario here, like Windsor, Chatham, Point Pele here, over Canada. So I think that'll be a problem there. This one over Seneca and Crawford County is really weakening too. I think this one's going to get canceled early too. And then we're going to have no severe thunderstorm warnings. And that's awesome. I know most people want to go to bed. And I'm sure most people are ready for that. Still a special marine warning over Put-in-Bay, Sandusky, Port Clinton, Kelly's Island for gusty winds up to 40 knots, I think, which is 50-ish miles per hour. But again, those are showing a weakening trend as well. And all of this rain back here in western Ohio, that's just rain. I think we're just seeing some moderate rain there, maybe a couple flashes of lightning, but that's about it. So I am almost ready to sound the all clear for this severe weather event. I do think it's possible we could still see some gusty winds tonight, but the widespread severe weather threat is ending, even though we have the severe thunderstorm watch, even though it hasn't made it to Cleveland yet. I just don't see this producing a lot of wind and rain anymore. It's really breaking apart. I don't even think we're going to get a whole lot of rain here in Columbus. I think it's going to be a brief downpour and that's it. So, spots that are seeing that right now are like Dublin and Hilliard. I could switch the closer radar on. Yeah, I think Dublin and Hilliard and Powell are getting a brief downpour. Maybe it got gusty, but that's about it. I haven't seen a flash of lightning out my window, so we're not even seeing lightning. Some heavier rain down towards Xenia, down towards Mason, rolling through Cincinnati. We might even be having some small hail here in like Finneytown, College Hill area of Cincinnati. That's US 127 between the 74 and 75 split. So that's going to be rolling through Reading, Lincoln Heights, Springfield Township, Mount Healthy. Some small hail, maybe some gusty wind there. Let's check the CVG radar out of the Cincinnati airport just to see if we've got any wind. I don't see any wind in this. There's no severe wind. Good. That's good. Maybe just some small hail and some brief gusts and some heavy rain. That's about it for Cincinnati. No rain in Bucyrus. That's a good thing to hear. Let's switch back to our only active warning. Yeah, it looks like it missed you in Bucyrus. And some good news. It looks like the Weather Service is not planning on continuing a severe thunderstorm warning to the east. They've gone ahead and issued a special weather statement, though, For Huron and Richland County, so that includes Willard, Norwalk, Shelby, Mansfield. It even extends into southern Erie County. That's where Milan is. 50-mile-per-hour gusts possible. Yeah, I can see that, but I think we are almost done with the wind threat. So, like I said, I'll stick with you guys for 10 more minutes. I think we can sound the almost all clear after that. Keep an eye on things. Have a way to receive warnings overnight if they do pop up. But I think our widespread severe weather threat is basically over. Severe thunderstorm watch for Northeast Ohio until 5 a.m. That's probably going to get canceled early. Because I just don't see it. I just don't see the threat. It's very possible one spot gets it, but it's not going to be widespread. It's not going to impact a lot of people. It still matters for those who get impacted, so that's why I say have a way to receive warnings. But I don't think there's a tornado threat anymore. The thunder and lightning really isn't going to be an issue either. I mean, I'm looking out my window and I don't really see much of a problem. So, but yeah, Bucyrus, Tiffin, it's getting better for you. Willard, Norwalk, you might get some rain, maybe rumbles of thunder. Brief heavy downpours in Columbus, but that's about it. Same for Cincinnati, maybe some pea-sized hail, but even that in the latest radar scan has gotten better. So yeah, there's heavy rain over, I don't know, downtown, Clifton, Finneytown, Springfield Township, Wyoming, suburbs directly north of Cincinnati. So that'll be heading towards like Blue Ash and Madeira, Marymount, and Silverton soon. A lot of rain over Mason in Lebanon, Monroe, Mainville. So that's near Kings Island. So Kings Island's where that 71 icon is right there. Getting a lot of rain there. Of course, the park's closed now at 1:21 in the morning, but there's some heavy rain there right now. Dublin, Hilliard, heavy rain, thunder, maybe, but that's about it. Same with Worthington, Clintonville, Upper Arlington, West Jeff. I don't even know if we'll even see that in Grove City. I'm kind of south of Columbus, so I might not even get much rain here, and that's okay. I kind of need a little bit of rain. I've seen some comments saying we need rain. I agree. It really haven't had a whole lot. I know the Cleveland area hasn't had a whole lot. With some of those storms that came through, what was it, last weekend, like Saturday? Cleveland didn't get a whole lot. They did yesterday. So like Lorain County, Cuyahoga County, we saw a lot of rain yesterday. But not right now. Wow, that storm really is falling apart over Tiffin and Bucyrus. Honestly, guys, I think we can probably end here even a couple minutes early. I might just answer the last couple questions we have. Mallory asked, what's the difference between a special weather statement and a severe thunderstorm warning? So a special weather statement, that's this lighter yellow. That basically means it's a strong storm. It could produce like pea-sized hail, gusts 40 to 50, but usually gusts that won't cause life threats or property damage. And a severe thunderstorm warning is usually issued when you have really strong wind, like 60 plus, that can hurt people or do a lot of damage. That's the difference. Like inconvenience to minor damage in a special weather statement to potentially like threatening damage and major damage in a severe thunderstorm warning. And yeah, that's about that. And I think we're transitioning into inconveniences rather than life threatening. So that's good news. Pouring in Morrow County. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of a little storm over Morrow County there. So hopefully everything will be going well. So, well, I do appreciate you guys all watching. I think now's the time to wrap up our stream. Again, if you haven't done so, go ahead and download the Ohio News and Weather app. That's always a good idea. We'll have up-to-the-minute forecasts and even some customizable options for you in the app. You can find that on Google Play or the App Store. My name's Mike Joyce. I help out here at Ohio News and Weather from time to time. I'm always happy to do it, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll have coverage whenever severe weather threatens the Buckeye State. But for now, I think we